Welcome to Galaxy Lore TV. Tonight, we open a gateway to one of the most enduring and mysterious legends of the stars, the Pleiadians. Imagine a night sky so clear that the Pleiades cluster, also called the Seven Sisters, shines like a jewel in the dark. Across cultures and ages, these stars have carried stories of divine visitors and celestial guides. The Pleiadians are often described as radiant beings who embody compassion, harmony with nature, and wisdom far beyond earthly comprehension. In many traditions, they are remembered as teachers who walked among early civilizations, planting seeds of spiritual growth and inspiring humanity toward higher understanding. Some describe them as guardians of Earth's natural balance, protectors of forests, oceans, and the rhythms of life. Others speak of them as travelers who journey between dimensions in shimmering light ships, carrying with them messages of unity and peace. The legends also suggest that the Pleiadians communicate through something known as the language of light, a form of expression that resonates with the soul more than the ear. It is said this language can awaken dormant memories within us, reminding star-born souls of where they truly came from. Their presence is tied to themes of renewal, healing, and awakening. For seekers and dreamers, the Pleiadians are seen as allies in times of transformation, helping humanity rediscover its place in the cosmic family. So as this episode unfolds, let your imagination drift into those timeless stories where starry myths, mystical wisdom, and shimmering visions meet. Tonight, we invite you to journey with us into the lore of the Pleiadians, the luminous beings of the Seven Sisters, and perhaps the most inspiring legends the night sky has ever held. Far beyond the everyday patterns of our sky lies a gathering of stars that has fascinated humanity since the first eyes turned upward in wonder. The Pleiades, also called the Seven Sisters, sit within the constellation of Taurus. These are young, hot blue stars, only around 100 million years old in cosmic terms, still surrounded by faint clouds of interstellar dust that reflect their glow. Astronomers know the cluster as an open star group, gravitationally bound together and traveling as a family through space. But for humanity, the Pleiades have never been just astronomical objects. They are symbols, myth, and memory woven into cultures across the world. The ancient Greeks told of Atlas, the Titan condemned to hold up the heavens, and his 7 daughters, Maia, Electra, Taygete, Alcyone, Selene, Sterope, and Merope. To spare them from Orion's pursuit, Zeus transformed the sisters into stars. This myth not only gave them names, but tied them forever to the sky as protectors of purity and grace. Yet, halfway around the world, the indigenous peoples of North America also carried their own stories. The Lakota saw the cluster as 7 maidens chased across the earth, rescued by being lifted into the sky. The Hopi considered the Pleiades to be their point of origin, a celestial home from which their ancestors descended. In Australia, the Aboriginal peoples told of a group of young women chased by hunters across the sky, a story eerily similar to the Greek myth, though born from an entirely different culture and continent. The Maori of New Zealand know the Pleiades as Matariki, a constellation marking the new year and the cycles of life, death, and renewal. In Japan, the cluster is called Subaru, symbolizing unity, gathering, and family. How is it that so many cultures, separated by oceans and centuries, look up at the same 7 stars and imagine sisters, guides, or ancestors? Some believe it is simple coincidence, shaped by the cluster's striking appearance. Others suggest something deeper, that the stories themselves may be echoes of encounters long ago when luminous visitors inspired myths of celestial kinship. In mystical traditions, the Pleiadians are said to have journeyed to Earth in ancient times, guiding early peoples with knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and spiritual harmony. The cluster became not just a set of stars, but a beacon, a reminder of humanity's connection to the wider universe. So when we speak of Pleiadian origins, we are speaking of more than a point of light in Taurus. We are speaking of a meeting ground between science and story, between myth and memory. The Pleiades are at once a real cluster of stars and a doorway into humanity's most enduring dream, that we are not alone, and that among those stars are kin who have watched us, guided us, and perhaps walked beside us since the dawn of time. The Pleiadians often remind us that the universe responds to vibration. Every thought, every feeling, every action sends out a frequency that ripples through reality. They teach that when we align ourselves with love, kindness, and compassion, we not only raise our own vibration, but also influence the collective field of humanity. Positive vibrations are more than just a state of mind. They are creative forces. They shape outcomes, attract harmony, and dissolve fear. The Pleiadians urge us to practice this truth daily, in the way we speak to others, in the choices we make, and in the small acts of kindness that may seem invisible but echo across dimensions. Positive action is the anchor that grounds these higher frequencies into our lives. It is not enough to think good thoughts. The Pleiadians emphasize living those thoughts through deeds so that Earth herself can shift into resonance with higher realms. To them, this is not abstract philosophy, but a path of transformation. Each moment becomes an opportunity to lift the world simply by radiating what is true, light-filled, and loving. In many modern teachings, the Pleiadians are closely connected to the idea of light work, the practice of bringing healing, awareness, and higher vibrations into the world. They are often described as guides who inspire lightworkers here on Earth, people who feel called to help others, to raise consciousness, and to remind humanity of its deeper spiritual potential. Lightworkers may not always know why they feel that call, but they often describe an inner pull toward compassion, healing, creativity, or simply bringing positive energy into difficult places. The Pleiadians are said to encourage this work not by controlling or directing, but by amplifying the light already within us. Through intuition, synchronicities, or subtle inspiration, they nudge humanity toward remembering its own capacity for harmony. Whether seen as literal beings from the stars or as archetypes of our higher nature, the Pleiadians embody the belief that light multiplies when it is shared. Their role, in many stories, is to remind us that even the smallest acts of kindness or awareness can ripple outward, and that in choosing to live as lightworkers, humans align with something much greater than themselves. Some traditions speak of a communication beyond words known as the language of light. Unlike human speech, it isn't built on grammar or vocabulary. Instead, it's expressed through tones, rhythms, and symbolic patterns, a kind of resonance that seems to carry meaning directly into the listener's awareness. Those who experience it often describe a sense of recognition, as if something deep inside responds before the mind has time to analyze. It feels closer to music than language, something that moves the heart first and only later invites interpretation. In New Age circles, the Pleiadians are often said to use this form of expression. Rather than passing along words, they're believed to share energy, emotion, and insight all at once in a way that is both intimate and expansive. Skeptics will point out that no scientific framework exists for this. Still, the experiences are hard to dismiss for those who have felt them. Many describe the language of light as a reminder that meaning doesn't always need words, and that communication can reach us on levels beyond the rational mind. Whether it's cosmic in origin or simply a creative tool of human imagination, the language of light continues to intrigue people around the world. and spark curiosity about the many ways we might connect. When people talk about the Pleiadians, much of what we imagine about their appearance comes from two very different human sources. The first is Barbara Marciniak, an American author and channeler who rose to prominence in the 1990s with books like Bringers of the Dawn. Her work didn't focus heavily on what the Pleiadians looked like. Instead, she described them in broad strokes, tall, human-like, and familiar in form, but emphasized their radiance, vitality, and almost luminous quality. According to her, their presence felt ageless and wise, more like an energy you experience than a face you could sketch. She also hinted that their appearance might shift depending on how humans perceive them, as if their form is partly a projection meant to put us at ease. On the other side of the spectrum is Billy Meier, a Swiss contactee who claimed direct, physical encounters with beings he called the Pleiadians in the 1970s. His accounts are among the most detailed in UFO lore. Meier described them as virtually indistinguishable from humans, often appearing tall, slender, with fair skin, long blonde or light brown hair, and striking blue eyes. His most famous contact, a woman named Semjase, was portrayed as youthful and strikingly beautiful, embodying what many would later call the classic Nordic alien archetype. Other Pleiadians like Ptah and Quetzal were also described with these same features: graceful, ageless, and idealized human forms. So we have two very different portrayals: Marciniak's Pleiadians, who are remembered more for their aura of light and shifting presence, and Meier's Pleiadians, who were described in vivid, almost photographic detail as Nordic-looking humans from the stars. Together, these two accounts shaped much of how the modern world imagines the Pleiadians, whether as glowing, radiant beings of energy, or as tall, fair-skinned visitors who could almost pass for us here on Earth. And while many others have reported encounters over the years, these two remain the main voices behind how we picture them today. Beyond the stories of ships and sightings, what really defines the Pleiadians in modern lore is their philosophy. They are often described as a civilization that has already moved through many of the struggles humanity faces now: war, imbalance, and disconnection from the natural world. Having passed through those lessons, they're said to live in a state of greater harmony, where technology and spirituality exist side by side rather than in conflict. Central to their message is the idea of unity and consciousness, that we are not separate, but part of a larger web of life that stretches across planets and even dimensions. They emphasize compassion, respect for nature, and the importance of raising awareness beyond purely material concerns. As for why they might want to help humans, the stories suggest it isn't about control, but about guidance. The Pleiadians are often portrayed as older siblings to humanity, not here to solve our problems for us, but to nudge us toward realizing our own potential. In their view, Earth is at a crossroads, and how we evolve, spiritually and socially, matters far beyond our planet. Whether one sees them as real beings, archetypes, or metaphors, the philosophy is clear: a call to live with more awareness, to reconnect with the planet, and to see ourselves as part of something far greater than we usually imagine. Some say that not all souls on Earth are entirely from here, that a few carry echoes of the stars within them. Among the most spoken of are the Pleiadian starseeds, beings who have chosen to walk as humans, but whose essence is said to come from the Seven Sisters. They are described as gentle and compassionate, with an instinctive urge to heal, to guide, and to bring harmony where there is conflict. Many feel a deep longing they can't explain, as if they are searching for a home they cannot quite remember. The traits often linked to them are subtle but striking, an almost otherworldly sensitivity, empathy that runs deeper than words, and a strong connection to nature and the unseen. They are said to carry light within them, expressed through creativity, intuition, and a quiet strength that shines brightest in times of struggle. But the mystery is this: if these souls truly come from the Pleiades, what is their purpose here? Are they guardians, teachers, or simply mirrors, reminding us of what we are capable of becoming? Perhaps the answer lies in the way they move through the world, carrying a resonance that feels not entirely of this earth. The stories of the Pleiadians and the star seeds said to carry their light remind us that we are part of something vast and unfolding. Whether these tales are whispers from the stars or echoes from within, they leave us with a sense of possibility, an invitation to grow, to awaken, and to walk with a little more light in our own lives. The truth may remain hidden among the stars, but the wonder it stirs is ours to keep. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and let the mystery guide you forward.
Remember, you are a spark of the cosmos. Shine with kindness, rise with wisdom, and carry the light of the stars wherever you go. Until we meet again, travel in peace.
Subscribe to our channel.